school Samuel Goldwyn Company logo. You can tell this is a first-time feature. See, this right here feels right out of Pulp Fiction. He's like, who are you?
All he asks is for some lollipops and some butter.
Lollipops and butter in his ass. So this already is tying in with the whole idea of Vegas. You know how you can win it or lose it like overnight. You went to Vegas to win some money to bury your mother. I'm tempted to pull a Heat where John C. Reilly's like, listen, lady, why are you so interested in what I read or what I do? But she's in a fucking neck brace.
What are the cashiers that he's going to have figured out, like, hey, man, I've seen you like 20 times.
Yeah, like I said, it's never
a big mystery or a big question.
Yep, never done out of kindness. There's always a transactional nature. The Colonel.
Thank you, Eddie.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
I could just listen to Philip Baker Hall talk.
Yeah,
forever.
that's the thing. Like, there's a reason why we're not talking over this one. Imagine having Philip Baker Hall, John C. Reilly, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Samuel L. Jackson in your first movie.
That's the best part about gambling is the stories.
Yeah, Sam's giving me early Chappelle Show vibes here. Philip Baker Hall, always respectable of the ladies.
Except for in Boogie Nights.
Except for Boogie Nights. He's like, how do I save these poor lost souls? Once again, setting us up for something sinister happening.
It's a nickname that Clementine has given me. That is not for you.
It's like the equivalent of the Jay Baruchel explaining Blu-ray versus Laserdisc in friggin' Tropic Thunder.
Yes.
Oh, the mullet. The mullet.
See, the thing is, I like you, and I'm gonna light a cigarette, and I'm gonna let you have this time to place your bet before I finish lighting this cigarette. And then when I finish lighting, I'm just gonna roll and fuck you.
He's like doing a Jack Black impression here before Jack Black was a thing. Passed out, still fully suited up. Oh, I don't think that dude's unconscious.
Does that make John C. Reilly her pimp, technically?
I guess. Other things. I don't know what.
All right. You just got married. You're on your honeymoon.
Wait, what about my job?
I think you're going to be just fine. Boy, is that a fax?
I don't even know how fax machines work.
Not gonna put the cigarette out.
All right. Can I have one then?
Ha! Sit in this glass. It's yours.
He's just going to go park that car that has a smashed-in window.
Yup.
Floyd Gondoli, Jimmy Gator, Mumbles O'Malley.
All connected.
It's all connected.
It'd be incredible if in Phantom Thread he was like, yeah, this Daniel Plainview guy in America. Yeah, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
There's no way that's all the money he has, right? $6 grand?
You
Come on. Pleasure doing business. What do you think he was going to say to him there? You're leaving the window open? A steak for only $7.99?
You can only get that at Applebee's.
Another classic Sam Jackson death scene. Leave the gun. Take the cannoli. Back to where it all began. All right, and that was Hard 8, Paul Thomas Anderson's feature directorial debut. So, Luke, your first time watching it. What are your final thoughts on it?
Great film. I can't believe I put off watching it for this long, but very happy to have watched it this time through. Man, just really incredible stuff to go back, see his first film, see kind of where a lot of the genesis of a lot of things occurs. By the end of it, I'm finding a little bit more to criticize, which, you know, is what it is. I think it has kind of an ending problem. Has about 3 different endings.
Yep.
But like just a fascinating film. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff on it with the production company and everything. Just super, super cool. You see where a lot of the filmmaking comes from. And I think the writing really stands out in this movie.
Yes, absolutely. It's very similar to Christopher Nolan's feature directorial debut, Following as well, where, again, it's kind of more of a little bit of an elongated short film / student film rather than, I guess, a feature length to like something like the level like their follow-ups like Memento and Boogie Nights. It has flaws for sure. Like I said, this one, it has a little bit of an ending problem, you know, and in the sense of where it just feels like it has 2 super long ending sequences after, I would say, like half an hour to 40 minutes of actual movie.
I would have ended the movie. Let's see what you think on this. I would have ended the movie after the phone call to John C. Reilly.
Oh, so you wouldn't
I love you scene. No, I wouldn't have
killing Sam Jackson.
No, I would have left it open-ended. Just like, because you're kind of getting the same thing, which is like, this guy is just on to the next thing. Like,
right.
He's going to have to, you know, just become a ghost again. But he has set up his, you know, surrogate kids now for success.
Right. Yeah. It's tricky. I don't know, because I like the Sam Jackson kill at the end, because just based off of what we've gotten. And I like that it's an interesting payoff as well, because you're right. There's the one hand where, you would want to stay in the ambiguity because you don't necessarily know if Sam Jackson is telling the truth, because Sam Jackson is kind of a little bit of a shifty character, whether the information that he got was wrong. It could also be a thing of where like, oh, he may have killed the guy who we thought was John C. Reilly's father, but in reality, he may have been his actual father and all that, which is also a possibility. So yeah, there is a version of this where they stay in the where they leave the viewer steeped in the ambiguity. But I don't think Paul Thomas Anderson was interested in that. I don't think because to my knowledge, none of his endings are really particularly that ambiguous. He always leaves them on a very kind of period ending, like, okay, the story is over now. Like, I really can't think of an instance.
Phantom Thread.
Not even Phantom Thread, though.
But
I feel like
I suppose it does end in
right.
a way but it ends much like in the way this movie does, where the cycle is just going to repeat itself.
It's actually kind of funny because in a similar way, I feel like it's part of the reason why I don't like Licorice Pizza, because Licorice Pizza
is just
rather than exactly. Well, my issue with Licorice Pizza is that it kind of ends in a way where you're like, huh, what? Like, I get that it's supposed to be a fantasy, but it's a thing that I've said that's kind of my biggest critique of Licorice Pizza. The thing that makes a fantasy is that it eventually ends. Licorice Pizza, he's trying to seep you in this idea of, oh, the fantasy is just going to go on forever, which we as rational human beings know is impossible. Versus this one, what I admire that he does here that he does not do in Licorice Pizza, and I'm attributing that to him, getting older and being more sentimental in life, is here is like, no, this is a hard set, like, things end. Like, eventually, like, the fun has to run out. He got these two away. Now he's got to resolve any potential cliffhangers, and that involves killing Jimmy. So that's kind of where I go to.
Well, it's interesting. I just double checked. So the cut that PTA had of this movie was 2.5 hours long.
Interesting.
So the movie got accepted into Cannes, but it was after he had already essentially been fired off the movie, and they were cutting it from the 2.5 hour to an hour and 45 that it is right now, that it appears in. However, they showed the 2.5 hour cut at Cannes.
At Cannes or Sundance?
I see it's Cannes.
Okay.
And no one has ever seen that ever again.
Interesting.
So somewhere there is the proper cut of what this movie is supposed to be. 2.5 to an hour and 45 is significant.
That's a lot. That's a full hour.
That's a whole hour storyline
that gets cut. Yeah. And it's funny because I've said this before that, like, my number one critique of this movie is that it feels like there's a chunk missing. Now, granted, after having seen it a second time, for the cut that we have, it works. But that being said, I'm very interested to see what got cut, especially because what we have is so good and so compelling.
Yeah, I wonder if there's more flashbacks, more history to the Sydney character, so that we're actually feeling a little bit more of that weight in the moment. Because, like, when Samuel has him in the hotel, fantastic scene, the slow zoom in when he's giving that final speech about everything. But to a certain extent, we don't really feel that because we don't know a ton about him.
Right.
Like, we only know what we've seen,
right,
and it's enough, and you can feel the weight of it, and Baker's performance is unbelievable. But you can see where 20 extra minutes of learning more about Sydney, that scene really hammers.
Yeah, the Sydney and Jimmy scenes, particularly near the end, I would say
seem from a different movie.
Yeah, they feel the most unearned, and they feel like they're from a different movie because it feels like there's this whole history, backstory / shared kind of mutual thing that these two have that it feels like is missing, and that's what I'm talking about.
When he's like, I would never do that to the John C. Reilly character, like, we've been buddies. It's like we've seen them in one scene together,
right? It's like what do we have to go based off of on that? To my knowledge, I'm like, you were just conning him this whole time.
Yeah. You might as well have just met him that day, and, like, basically like how they get married that same day. You might as well have just become friends that same day, and now you're acting all like you've known each other forever. But like, I just think that there has to be more. So it's cool that there is this, like, magical 2.5 hour cut somewhere that no one ever gets to see.
Who knows? Maybe Paul Thomas Anderson will release it someday. But that's doubtful. So, like I said, it's so this being the only Paul Thomas Anderson movie you had left to watch. I know you said you've seen bits and pieces of Inherent Vice, but that means you've seen all of his movies, right? Now,
I have multiple times.
All right,
because I have attempted to start Inherent Vice multiple times. I've never watched the end of Inherent Vice, to be fair. So that's there. Yeah, Hard 8, definitely. I'm going to have to think about how to rank it. I think if it would have ended better, this would be an easy top 5 for me.
Absolutely. But as it stands,
as it's
5.
as it stands, it will probably end up being in the bottom 5. We'll see though.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this once over, with the rest of the ones that we have to come back to. There's a couple that I haven't revisited for a while. But I mean, a lot of the later work I am very taken with. I think I've mentioned Phantom Thread probably more than any of his other movies. I love that movie. And that is usually seen as a bottom 5 by a lot of PTA
crazy
fans.
Because not to the people that I've talked to, everybody that I've talked to, Phantom Thread is top 5.
Yeah. And I, at least with the groups that I circulate in, I have to like evangelize that movie all the time. I'm like, no, it's amazing. But
crazy.
A lot more of my friends and the people that I Punch Drunk Love kind of takes the spot of that movie.
See, I still have Punch Drunk Love in my top 5, but it's not over Phantom Thread.
Yeah, it wouldn't be in my top 5.
Yeah, because right now, like I said, my top 5 is There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights, Phantom Thread, The Master, and Punch Drunk Love. And so far, nothing has managed to edge its way in over those 5.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What did you not mention that I would have above it? I think I might have Magnolia above it. I feel
Magnolia,
like you don't like Magnolia that
Magnolia,
much.
I think, is one that you like a little bit more than me, but we're gonna come to that because Magnolia.
I think Cruise is unbelievable.
My thing with Magnolia is that because the thing that I did not know going in was just how many storylines there were, and that it really is a thing of where like what your love of Magnolia kind of comes down to whether or not you're willing to excuse some of the more problematic storylines, because there are some problematic and excess. You want to talk about a movie that is built on its excess, and that's something that I did not realize going in, which I feel like is why I don't love, like, Magnolia to me is like right down the middle for it's like Magnolia and One Battle battling it out for like that middle spot for me, and then everything else that I love is above it, and everything else that I don't like as much is below it.
Yeah.
So
I think we'll be close, and I'll be interested to see how because I'll definitely re-rank these at the end, just having seen them through again.
Yeah, once we wrap this, There Will Be Blood will be our finale for this series, and once we do that episode at the end, we'll have our little ranking of all of PTA's movies and see where we land there. Like I said, it's and it helps too. Magnolia, we have like right in the dead spot. That's going to be number 5 that we watch. But next week we'll be doing Inherent Vice, so be sure to tune in to that once that gets released. But yeah, this is, like I said, Hard 8, interesting, fun little directorial debut. Personally, one of my favorite directorial debuts. I really, really enjoyed this one. Obviously, I'm biased. I love Paul Thomas Anderson's works, but it's good to see that like he still kind of had it where it counts as a filmmaker this early on in his career, which is really nice. I mean, come on, his next movie was fucking Boogie Nights. Like, this is clearly a dude who was always destined to, destined to be a star, if you will. But yeah, so with that being said, Luke, thank you once again for joining me, and I was happy to show you the last Paul Thomas Anderson movie that you had yet to watch. So where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Check me out, Franchise Addicts everywhere. Check out, by the time this comes out, we'll have done that 2026 draft. Check me out on that with Dom and all the other guys. We definitely got to get that crew back together and get some crosstalk going.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that, and then check out our Boogie Nights episode. That was a fun one.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was an absolute blast. You guys can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews or across all platforms, at Official Talkin TV Podcast across all platforms. And as always, people, 12 seasons in a short film, and watch more fucking movies. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.